So I'm going to start my demo inside of Outlook 2010. I'm going to start it here because we know that this is where the bulk of people spend their day. The average session length in Outlook is somewhere over 400 minutes. So people spend more time in Outlook than they do with their spouse. So it's really important that we nail this and get it right relative to any other application. So the first thing that you'll see is that we've brought the ribbon user interface into Outlook. And we've brought this into every single client application, the web applications, and SharePoint as well. So good thing for users, they'll see the same UI in Office and SharePoint no matter where they go. You'll notice that this allows me to add some new features as well. So the first thing that I have up here is this concept of quick steps. They're like mini macros that I have inside of Outlook now. So for example, if I'm in a mail and I want to reply with a quick step that I've created, I can reply with a meeting. And what this does is it automatically generates that meeting for me. It brings in all of the text of the email so that people have that context. It creates all of the users into the email. And then you'll also see here that I get new tools. For example, the room finder. So if I wanted to go to my building, which is back in Redmond, and look at the available rooms, I can just scroll down to my building and it'll pull that up for me. Now if we look at the body of a mail itself, so let me just hop back into Outlook here quickly in a second. And Outlook is going to give me some time to think about things. So don't save changes to this. So if I hover over someone's name, you saw this quickly in the slide that Peter showed earlier, but we have this concept now in all of the applications and on the web as well of a hover card. And the interesting thing about this is that this follows the person anywhere that they go inside of Office or in SharePoint or in Outlook Web Access. So you always have access to this information. Now what exactly is contained in this? Well, one, I can see Paul, who is the SharePoint Workspace Product Manager. I can see his grinning photo. If I were to click here, I'd hear a pronunciation of his name. I can see that he's updated his status with the new office that he's been moved to. I can even choose to call Paul right from within this view. So I could call him at work, call him on his mobile phone, I could IM him, email him. And it's really powerful because I get this for everyone that I work with. With Albert, who's giving a presentation right now, I see his status, I see where he is. You always have access to that anywhere that you go inside of Office. Now, if we go to this Outlook social connector here, and this is the piece that I talked about earlier, you can see that I get access to all of the information relevant to this person. So for Paul, who I showed you earlier, I see all of the emails that we exchanged. If I wanted to see any of the meetings that I've shared with Paul, I get all of that information in one click. If I had the Outlook social connector hooked up to a social network, Facebook, LinkedIn, MySpace, I'd also get all of Paul's social information. If I'm IT and I want to control this, I can block social networks that I don't want my people to have access to. So it's also a very granular and easy to control experience. And again, I don't have to search around for all of my information with Paul. I just get it right here. Now one of the other new things that we've added to Outlook 2010 is something that we call in-mail item calendar viewing. And so you can see that rather than have to navigate to my calendar, I get a snapshot of my calendar so I can see my availability in real time. We've also added some new conversation view inside of the Outlook 2010 client. So if I choose to look at things by conversation, I get a full view, very similar to what I would have had in other providers in the past. But we've also added tools that allow you to gain advantage when you're in this view. So if I come into this mail thread, I've been sitting in this theater all day, I get back to my email, and I'm on a thread with 35 responses. I don't want to have to read through each and every one of those responses. So with thread cleanup, if we select this and we say cleanup conversation, what this is going to do is it's going to go delete all of the redundant mails in that thread. So it's going to look for all of the replies that are back and forth and combine them into a single mail so that rather than have to read those 35 mails, I just have to read the relevant 5 branches of that thread. Now, we also realize that sometimes people just don't want to deal with a mail thread altogether. And so for that situation, we've introduced something that we call ignore. Now, if you click ignore on a thread, what this is going to do is it's going to block all future mails on the topic. So anytime that someone sends me a thread going forward on this or a mail on this topic, I don't get that mail. It's automatically deleted. I don't even have to deal with it, and it's sent to my deleted items. Now, if you need to recover that later, obviously you can pop into the deleted items folder and choose to stop ignoring that thread. Excuse me. Now, just a quick introduction to what we've done with the Backstage view. We do have this in Outlook as well. So this replaces what was the File menu. For those of you who are on the beta, you've obviously discovered this by now. The first thing that you'll notice is that you have the ability to manage multiple Exchange accounts right from with Outlook in this view. I can also manage all of my different out-of-office replies, just like I could on the web. So if I wanted to come in here, I'm out of office right now. I set this earlier today. I can configure all of that. All of my voicemail can be configured from within this view, just like it could be on the web. Now, one last thing, just quickly in Outlook before we transition over to the web applications, is we've added something in Outlook 2010, and this does require Exchange 2010 on the back end, is something called mail tips. Now, what mail tips are is they're real-time tips that I get as I'm composing a mail before I even send it. So in this case, you can see this is my super sweet picture that I have on file at Microsoft. And I've added first an alias that we use for my floor at Microsoft. Now, you notice that before I sent the mail, it flags me that the alias that I'm about to send it to, which is my team, contains 519 recipients. So are you sure that you want to send this mail? Now you'll see that I also get a flag on myself, and it says that I'm out of the office. So before I even send this mail to anyone, I know, one, that I better be careful with what I write because I'm about to send it to 520 people, and two, that I'm about to send it to someone that I want an answer from, but they're not even in the office. And this is really cool because they're customizable on the server side. So if you want to set this up because you're in a bank to say, hey, you're about to email someone that's outside of your organization. Are you sure this is compliant information? You're about to send a mail that had the word attached. Did you notice it didn't have an attachment? You can configure these on the server to check for a variety of properties that you might want to as an IT administrator.